What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe.
I kind of joked that T-Bob was like one play away from playing left tackle for the Saints because that doesn't seem that far-fetched. Andrus Peat is no longer an option for the New Orleans Saints as he signs with the Las Vegas Raiders. And so that means Trevor Penning, come on down. You are going to have every opportunity to be the Saints starting left tackle, right, wrong, or indifferent, T-Bob.
It's, you know, what's funny about this is I think Andrus Peat is a bit like when you've just gotten too comfortable in a relationship, romantic or friendship, right? It doesn't have to be romantic.
Right.
You've just gotten too comfortable in a relationship and you maybe start to take it a bit for granted, right? Where, like, I think the Saints really thought that after he tested, or I shouldn't say the Saints, it seems like these Saints hive mind, be it New Orleans.football, some of the excellent beat writers that cover for the Advocate, ESPN. It seemed like the hive mind was under the impression that, well, Andrus Peat has been testing the waters. There's nothing there. And given the Saints' needs, they'll likely find their ways back to one another. Once again, it just won't be at the number that Peat originally wanted. So it's almost like the Saints, I feel like, kind of maybe thought that they were always going to have Peat in their back pocket.
Right.
And now he's not. And so now a situation that was already bad, like, it's not like Pete's incredible. Pete's been solid. Pete's been here for 9 years. Pete has made over 100 starts in a Saints uniform. And at left tackle, right guard, left guard. Last year alone, he was really the key solidifying piece and at least making the O-line okay for the latter half of that year. So, it feels weird because it feels like this is the second time this offseason we're saying goodbye to Andrus Peat. But, yeah, I'm a bit surprised. I was just kind of assuming that they would find their way back to one another.
It almost felt like you had to because just nothing in Trevor Penning's career has shown me that he's ready to take over any starting position, but certainly left tackle. I mean, there was guys off of the street last year that were playing ahead of Trevor Penning. Like, there were undrafted free agents that were playing ahead of Trevor Penning. He was on the field goal extra block team. He couldn't even get in on goal line a year ago. And now he's going to be your starting left tackle for a quarterback that doesn't do well with pressure. Doesn't seem like it's a great recipe for success.
No, I mean, I still feel like Penning's future lies at guard. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe look, man, it's maybe a bit rarer than at a position like quarterback, but a lot of times we do throw these young guys into the fire and we immediately say, okay, well, that's all they'll ever be, and we don't allow any room for improvement. Without a doubt, what we've seen from Penning thus far tells us that, yes, he was not worthy of a first-round pick, right? But it's not to say that maybe like an Andrus Peat, maybe he can make himself solid. Now, that maybe that's probably unfair to Peat, right? Because, yes, Peat struggled, but again, Peat also started 9 years, over 100 starts. He does have 3 Pro Bowls to his name, though we all know Pro Bowls are kind of a funny metric with which to judge people against. And so like Andrus Peat's legacy in New Orleans is something that's kind of deeply fascinating to me, Jake, because again, there aren't that many players that stay with one team that long. And normally if a guy does, he ends up being a bit more beloved than I feel Saints fans kind of feel about Andrus Peat.
We don't care about Pro Bowls unless we're talking about 2009 Pro Bowl alternates, but that's a whole different conversation. Now, that's when we really care about Pro Bowls. But Andrus Peat actually did last year, like, solidify some things when you needed somebody to step up. You needed somebody to come in and just help you get through games. I mean, it was so bad, T-Bob. Like, we're not joking. Like, you were signing people off the street that were playing right tackle within that week. And so last year, like, if you don't have an Andrus Peat, like, I don't know what happens for the Saints season. I don't think they even have a chance at the end like they did to make the postseason. And that's my worry is there's no Andrus Peat now. There's no fallback. There's no, hey, veteran player that we can move into that position and kind of solidify it enough to be able to be competitive out there. If Trevor Penning doesn't work, like, you drafted a tackle in the first round, obviously. So if you wanted to slide him over, you could, and then you sign maybe a veteran right tackle that's kind of on the streets right now, like maybe thinking about retirement and just trying to, duct tape and glue this thing together. But do you really want to be in that position?
I mean, so what do you think? You think Fuaga is the starting right tackle?
I think. That's
Immediately, not left.
I would think so. I think just with his skill set, I think he's had obviously experience doing both. I think right tackle seems like a better fit for him. But I mean, if Trevor Penning's out there throwing no hitters like Nolan Ryan, you would have to move him over to left tackle, wouldn't you?
I would think so. I think also, I mean, unfortunately nowadays, would you agree with this? There's probably less of a difference between right and left tackle than there's ever been before, because now guys are just like, we're going to line up our pass rusher on the worst tackle.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to put our TJ Watts over your right tackle, or if your left tackle struggling, he's going to go over. Yeah, I mean, you're right. No longer is the left tackle as big of a deal, but I mean, either way, you got to have somebody that you are, as a quarterback, you are comfortable with, that you trust, because these quarterbacks at that level, running back, tight end, tackle, guard, center, does not matter. If they don't have trust in you, they let the coaches know, and you're not going to be in there. And like, you have to earn that trust, because that quarterback is counting on you, regardless of who's lined up across from you, that in 40 pass reps, you're going to win 40 pass reps. All right? Because if you win 39 of 40 in the NFL, you had a bad day.
It sucks. It's so I hate it. It's so crazy. Just no room for error allowed for offensive linemen. I think this, and I know that this is some real sunshine pumping BS, and this is becoming too much of the fallback in a lot of these conversations. But if I want to paint, how does it work out? It just all has to go back to Kubiak. And just that, can he create? And I think he does. Like, I think his system will be, but a lot also because I think like last year's system at the time was one of the most unfriendly O-line situations I've ever seen. But can his system create more advantageous positions for these guys, make it a bit harder on the defense, just peel their ears back? Maybe like you combine a little bit of Penning improvement with the more friendly scheme, and you start to see better production there. Again, that's very flimsy, right? I'm not telling anyone that they should necessarily believe it. I'm just saying, if I wanted a nugget of optimism for how does this offensive line end up working out, that's where I would kind of go. But it feels bad because like Kubiak's becoming too much of this kind of panacea, like, oh, don't worry, Clint Kubiak's going to solve it all.
Yeah. Now, I don't believe this to be true, and I don't think you do either. Maybe, just maybe, they know something inside of the building where they have some hope that Ryan Ramczyk can give you something. That's kind of the wild card here. Kid, if he is able to actually play football, then he stays at right tackle. And you got it figured out. Then Trevor Penning becomes the swing tackle.
Yeah. I mean, that would be ideal. But again, I guess we're just going off the reporting of all the beat writers, right? And the hive mind seems to think that Ramczyk's career is potentially imperiled here. So it's not great. It's not great, Jake. And again, maybe take a second today. I think you have to love him. But, maybe show a little respect and be a little thankful for Andrus Peat, because he gave you 9 years.
I agree.
And that's Warrior stuff in the NFL. They gave you 100+ starts at all the positions. Like, that deserves a little love from Saints fans.
Yeah, I've been critical of him in the past, and last year he solidified a lot of things for the New Orleans Saints, and so I'll give him an attaboy as well.
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.